The night nurse's phone screen went dark, but the images burned behind Maya's eyes like afterimages of lightning. Damien Crossholden, billionaire. She'd held his hand, broken his finger, leaned against his chest while he made placenta puns. He'd watched her give birth, held her son before she did, named him. My name isn't just Damien. No, it certainly wasn't. Maya looked down at Ash, sleeping in his plastic bassinet, his tiny chest rising and falling in the rhythm of the innocent. He had no idea that a man worth nearly $5 billion had been the first to hold him. What kind of billionaire stands on a dusty road? She thought. What kind of billionaire stops for a woman like me? The questions circled like vultures, and she had no answers. Only exhaustion. Only a body that had been torn open and remade. Only a son who needed her to be strong. She closed her eyes and tried to sleep. But sleep didn't come. 3 days later, Maya was discharged on a Thursday morning. The hospital had been kind enough. Sister Beatrice had personally ensured she had enough diapers and formula to last a week, and one of the younger nurses had donated a second-hand baby wrap printed with faded cartoon elephants. But kindness didn't pay rent. Kindness didn't fix the leak in her ceiling or fill her empty refrigerator. She stood outside the hospital entrance, Ash strapped to her chest in the elephant print wrap, her worn tote bag hanging from one shoulder. The sun was already brutal. Even at 8 a.m. the road stretched before her. The same dusty, rutted road she'd walked 3 days ago, contracting and terrified. No black SUV waited for her this time. Of course not, she told herself. He was a stranger. A good one, but still a stranger. She checked the news obsessively on the nurse's phone. Damien Crossholden had resurfaced at a charity gala 2 nights ago, photographed in a tuxedo, shaking hands with politicians, smiling his calm, unreadable smile. No mention of where he'd been. No mention of a pregnant woman or a government hospital. He said he'd come back, a small voice whispered. He promised. Promises from billionaires were probably like promises from Tund, cheap and easily broken. Maya started walking. The walk home took 45 minutes. She stopped twice, once to rest on a fallen log, once to nurse Ash behind a market stall while the seller pretended not to notice. Her body ached in ways she hadn't known bodies could ache. Every step sent a small throb through her stitches. Every few minutes, she checked to make sure Ash was still breathing.
He was.
Always. Her room was exactly as she'd left it, small, dim, smelling of old wood and mildew. The single window faced a brick wall. The bed was a foam mattress on the floor. The kitchen consisted of a hot plate, a kettle, and a plastic basin for washing dishes. But it was hers, paid for until the end of the month. After that, she didn't think about after that. Maya lowered herself onto the mattress, unstrapped Ash, and laid him beside her. He fussed for a moment, then settled, his dark eyes drifting closed. "Welcome home," she whispered. The room said nothing back. That evening, someone knocked on her door. Maya's heart stopped. Then it raced. Then it stopped again. He came back. She hobbled to the door, her hands shaking, and pulled it open. Fatima stood there, her neighbor from 2 doors down, a plump woman with kind eyes and 4 children of her own. She was holding a bowl of jollof rice wrapped in foil. "Welcome back, Mama," Fatima said, pushing the bowl into Maya's hands. "I heard you had the baby. Boy, yes? My husband said he saw a big black car bring you to the hospital. Very fancy. Who was that?" Maya's heart settled into something like disappointment. Of course it was Fatima. Of course it wasn't him. "A good Samaritan," Maya said. "Just a stranger." Fatima's eyes narrowed. "Strangers don't drive cars like that in this neighborhood. Strangers don't stay in the labor room for 4 hours. My cousin is a nurse there. She told me everything." "Of course she did. What else did your cousin say?" Maya asked wearily. Fatima stepped closer, lowering her voice. "She said the man signed the hospital forms with a name that made the matron choke on her tea.
Cross something.
Very rich. Very powerful." She searched Maya's face. "You didn't know?" Maya shook her head. "I didn't know." Fatima was quiet for a moment. Then she patted Maya's arm.
"Well,
"Whether he comes back or not, You have a healthy son. That is something. That is everything. She gestured at the rice.
Eat. Rest.
Tomorrow, we figure out the rest. She left. Maya closed the door, leaned against it, and slid down until she was sitting on the floor. Whether he comes back or not.
She looked at the bowl of rice.
At the mattress where Esh slept. At the leaking ceiling and the bare walls and the life she'd built from absolutely nothing. He's not coming back, she told herself. Billionaires don't come back to rooms like this.
She ate the rice.
It was good. She cried a little, quietly, so Esh wouldn't hear. Then she went asleep. Day for the knock came at midnight. Maya woke from a dream she couldn't remember, disoriented and heavy-limbed. Esh was crying, had been crying, she realized, and she reached for him automatically, lifting him to her chest. The knock came again. 3 sharp raps. Her blood turned to ice. No one knocked at midnight in this neighborhood unless it was bad news. Landlords demanding rent. Police looking for someone. Thieves checking if anyone was home. She held Esh tighter and didn't move. Go away, she called. Her voice was hoarse. A pause. Then, it's me. She knew that voice. She'd heard it whisper encouragement while she screamed. Heard it name her son. Heard it say, please don't run. Maya's legs carried her to the door before her brain caught up. She fumbled with the lock. Old, rusted, stubborn, and yanked the door open. Damien stood in the doorway. He looked nothing like the man in the magazine photos. His shirt was wrinkled. His jaw was shadowed with stubble. His eyes, those sharp, dark eyes, were red-rimmed, exhausted, and fixed on her face like she was the only light in a dark room. He was holding a grocery bag in one hand and a diaper bag in the other, the kind that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. Hi, he said. Maya stared at him. You're late, she said. A ghost of a smile flickered across his face. I know. I'm sorry. I got held up. Held up. She heard her own voice, cold and brittle. You're a billionaire, Damien. You have private jets. You could have been here in an hour. I could have, he agreed. But I wasn't sure you'd want to see me. Maya laughed, a sharp, broken sound. Esh startled and cried harder. She bounced him automatically, her eyes never leaving Damien's face. You held my hand while I pushed a human being out of my body. You named my son. You kissed his forehead. And you didn't think I'd want to see you? Damien's jaw tightened. After you Googled me. After you saw who I really am. I thought. He looked down at the bags in his hands. I thought you'd decide I was a complication you didn't need. Complication. Maya wanted to scream. She wanted to slam the door. She wanted to throw herself into his arms. Instead, she stepped aside.
Come in, she said.
He had to duck slightly to enter the room. The contrast was almost comical. Damien Crossholden, whose net worth could buy this entire street 100 times over, standing in the middle of a room smaller than his bathroom. His head almost touched the ceiling. His shoulders seemed to fill the space entirely. He looked around slowly, at the mattress on the floor, at the plastic basin, at the window that showed nothing but brick. Then he looked at Maya. You've been living here, he said. It wasn't a question. Not all of us have penthouses, Maya said. She sat on the mattress, positioning Esh to nurse. The baby latched on immediately, his cries subsiding into small, satisfied grunts. Damien set down the bags. Maya glimpsed diapers, formula, baby clothes, things she hadn't dared to hope for, and lowered himself onto the floor across from her. He didn't sit on the mattress. Didn't presume. Just folded his long legs and sat on the bare concrete, like it was nothing. I should have come sooner, he said. Yes, Maya agreed. You should have. I had to handle things. The charity gala. The press. They'd noticed I was gone. They were asking questions. What kind of questions? Damien ran a hand over his face. The kind that lead to headlines like, Billionaire's mysterious disappearance, and is Damien Crossholden having a breakdown? He looked at her. I couldn't let them find you. Not yet. Not until I understood what I was doing. Maya's chest tightened. What are you doing, Damien? He was quiet for a long moment. Esh nursed. The ceiling fan clicked in slow circles. Somewhere outside, a dog barked. I don't know, Damien admitted. And that's the problem. I've never not known. I win. That's what I do. But you, he gestured at her, at Esh, at the room. You're not a plan. You're not a deal. You're a woman who asked me to pretend to be her husband, and 4 hours later, I was naming her son and crying like a child. You cried?
Of course I cried.
You were magnificent. His voice cracked. I've seen billion-dollar deals close. I've seen skyscrapers rise from nothing. I've never seen anything as powerful as you giving birth to that baby. And I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with you. Maya's throat burned. You could start by not disappearing for 3 days. He nodded slowly.
Fair.
I deserved that. You deserve worse. But her voice had softened. Do you know what I thought? I thought you were dead. Or that you'd changed your mind. Or that I'd imagined the whole thing. That no one like you could possibly have been real. I'm real, Damien said quietly. Too real.
And too complicated.
And probably too much for someone who's already been through too much. You don't get to decide that for me. He looked at her then, really looked, and something shifted in his expression. A wall coming down. A decision made.
Okay, he said.
Then let me tell you the truth. All of it. And after that, if you want me to leave, I'll leave. I won't come back. I won't bother you. But you deserve to know why a billionaire was standing on a dusty road 3 days before he was supposed to be at a charity gala. Maya eyed Justesh, who had fallen asleep at her breast. She tucked him against her shoulder and waited. Damien took a breath. My mother died 6 months ago, he began. The words landed like stones in still water. I wasn't there. I was in Singapore, closing a deal. She'd been sick for years, cancer, the slow kind that eats you from the inside. She told me not to come.
Said she was fine.
Said the doctors were optimistic. And I believed her because I wanted to believe her. Because believing her meant I could keep working.
Keep winning.
Keep being Damien Crossholden, the man who never stops. He paused, staring at his hands. She died alone. In a hospital bed. With no one holding her hand. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I flew back for the funeral, Damien continued. I gave a speech. I cried on camera. The papers called me devastated but dignified. And then I went back to work. Because that's what I do. That's what I've always done. He looked up at her, and his eyes were wet. But something broke. I don't know how to explain it. I kept waking up in the middle of the night, and I couldn't breathe. I'd be in meetings, and suddenly I'd be thinking about my mother's hands, how they looked in the casket, so still, so empty. And I couldn't, his voice cracked. I couldn't feel anything anymore. Not the deals. Not the money. Not the power. Nothing. So you ran, Maya whispered. I ran, he agreed. I got in my car, and I drove. I didn't tell anyone. Didn't bring security. Didn't bring a plan. I just drove until I ran out of city, and then I kept driving until I ran out of road. And then my tire went flat, and I was standing on the side of the road, and this woman, this beautiful, terrified, impossibly brave woman, asked me to be her husband. He laughed, a broken, wondering sound. I said yes because I had nothing left to lose. Because pretending to be someone's husband for a day felt easier than being myself for 1 more hour. And then, he shook his head. And then you screamed. And you pushed. And you held that baby. And for the first time in 6 months, I felt something. Not numbness. Not grief. Something. Maya was crying now. Silently. The tears ran down her cheeks and dripped onto Esh's blanket. I stayed because I didn't want to stop feeling, Damien said. I came back because I couldn't stop thinking about you. And I'm here now because he stopped. Swallowed. Because I think I'm falling in love with you. And I don't know if that's insane or selfish or the first real thing I've done in years. But it's the truth. The room was silent except for the fan and the distant dog and the soft sound of Esh breathing. Maya looked at this man, this billionaire who had sat on her concrete floor, who had held her hand through labor, who had named her son and kissed his forehead and disappeared for 3 days and come back with groceries and a story that cracked her heart open. What do you want from me? She asked. Damien met her eyes. Nothing you're not ready to give. But I want you to know that you're not alone anymore. Not if you don't want to be. I have money. I have power. I have resources. But more than that, he reached out, slowly, and laid his hand on the mattress near her knee, not touching, just there. I have time. And I want to spend it with you. Both of you.
If you let me.
Maya looked down at Esh, at his tiny, peaceful face, at the gift he had always been. Then she looked at Damien. Prove it, she said, echoing her own words from the hospital. Prove you're not going to disappear again. Damien smiled, a real smile, tired and hopeful and so human it hurt.
Give me tomorrow, he said.
And the day after. And the day after that. I'll prove it, every single one. Maya reached out and took his hand, the same hand she'd held in the labor room, the one whose fingers she'd probably broken. He laced his fingers through hers and squeezed gently. Okay, she whispered. Okay. The next morning, Maya woke to the smell of frying plantains. For a disorienting moment, she thought she was dreaming. Then she sat up, Esh stirring beside her, and saw Damien standing at her hot plate, shirt sleeves rolled up, frying plantains in a pan that definitely hadn't been there yesterday. He'd brought his own pan, and oil, and eggs, and fresh bread from a bakery that didn't exist within 5 miles of this neighborhood. Good morning, he said without turning around. You sleep okay? Maya blinked. You stayed? I said I would. He glanced over his shoulder. I slept in my car. I didn't want to presume. In his car. The man worth nearly $5 billion had slept in his SUV on a dangerous street, so she wouldn't feel uncomfortable. Maya's heart did something complicated.
You could have used the floor, she said.
Damien laughed.
Next time.
Next time. Like there would be a next time. Like he was already planning for one. He brought her breakfast on a plastic tray, another thing he'd brought, and sat across from her while she ate. Esh woke and fussed, and Damien took him without being asked, cradling him against his chest with that same careful reverence. You're good at that, Maya said. I'm learning, Damien said. I've been watching videos. Videos. The CEO of a multinational corporation had been watching baby-holding tutorials. You're ridiculous, Maya said. You're just figuring that out now. She smiled. It felt strange on her face, like using a muscle that had atrophied. But it also felt good. 3 weeks later, everything changed. Damien had kept his word. He came every day, sometimes in the morning, sometimes at night, always with food, always with patience, always with that quiet, steady presence that Maya had started to depend on in a way that terrified her. He didn't try to move her out of the room, didn't offer to buy her a house, didn't flash his money or his power. He just showed up, day after day, holding Esh, making her laugh, learning her rhythms, her fears, her small joys. She learned things about him too, that he couldn't sleep without white noise, that he was allergic to shrimp but ate it anyway because he loved the taste, that he still called his father every Sunday, even though they hadn't spoken warmly in years. We're both stubborn, he'd said. It's a family curse. Stay tuned for episode 4, The Penthouse. Maya enters Damien's world, and nothing prepares her for what she finds. His family has questions. The press has cameras. And an old enemy from Damien's past is about to surface, determined to destroy everything he's building. Will their love survive the spotlight? Or will the weight of 2 different worlds crush them both? Subscribe and hit the bell for episode 4. Like this video if you're rooting for Maya and Damien. Comment, should Maya trust Damien completely, or keep her guard up? Thank you for watching.